Good morning, Glenda Rivera here, and today, guys, we're gonna continue our conversation on self-esteem and confidence, but we are gonna touch a more sensitive topic. Oh, yes, it's gonna be a more sensitive topic for a lot of you and for me because it has to do with words, how words affect our self-esteem and confidence. If you have ever been into any type of relationship, either with your parents, either with a partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, a friend, anybody that you trusted, that you loved, and they broke that trust by using abusive words against you, that is something that will affect our self-esteem and confidence. Because the one thing we start thinking, if this is the person that I love and trust the most, and they tell me that I'm this, then maybe they're right. Not knowing that that person probably said whatever they wanted to say at that moment because they were angry at us or frustrated, or not even, sometimes don't even have to do nothing with us, but they just said it because they want to use us as as a way of them to feel better by just, and as wrong as it sounds, it's true. A lot of people, it could be parents, it could be teachers, it could be anybody out there, and they use a word against a person. Maybe they didn't intend to cause any harm, but actually in the long run it did. Because if that person doesn't analyze right away what the effects of that word, it could be devastating. So my particular scenario, I have a problem with words. I mean, as a child, I was, not exactly by my parents, but, I heard words, and that do affect me. And of course, as a teenager, then, not specifically by my father, but then, yes, my mother did use words with me that she didn't know any better, that affect me later on in my young adult life. So we have to be mindful of how we use words, and we have to make sure that we think about it a few times before we say something we'll regret later, because that could affect someone's self-esteem and confidence. If this is something that already happened to you, you're the one that said it, or you're the one that you were in the other end that received the word, we have to make sure that we confront that word that was spoken to us, and make sure that we know that that is not truth, and that we are not that specific word or words, and start the process to healing, start the process to recovery, and start a process of forgiveness. And in many cases, it's much complicated that it sounds, to be able to forgive someone that causes so much harm. But at the end of the day, it will bring us freedom and sense of liberation that we need to be able to move forward, and the sooner the better. Because if we stay believing those lies for longer periods of times, it will take root on our soul and our mind, to the point that we're gonna identify with that particular word, and we don't want that. So one way that I turn this around is by not doing the same thing that was done to me to another person. That's one thing that we can turn this around. One thing that I use for my own personal healing and recovery is to not do the same thing. Not saying that I haven't, because I have, but not in a conscious way and not repetitive. And if I did, maybe without knowing, just try to ask that person for forgiveness. But after that, by having family and having people close to me, to make sure that I don't disrespect them and that I'm be able to control myself in any of my situations within me and not have to use a word against them that I will regret. That's one thing that I used to turn it around. Don't pass what was done to me. The second thing is that analyze who that person was in my life, where that person was coming from. If that person, maybe at the time of the event, there were some circumstances surrounding the event, and you know, the mental health of that person. That's something to consider on, because sometimes a lot of people had a lot of, you know, that have used other people, have mental issues that they had never been diagnosed by a professional, but then indeed, you and I, after years, we know that that's exactly what happened. So we want to make sure that we consider those aspects too. I did that myself with the experiences that had happened to me. I evaluate after years the people that said it, why they said it, and the mental condition or maybe the circumstances surrounding that particular event. I think that helped me so much to let go and liberate them from whatever I thought they did to me, and then let that go, and me not do it to another person. And the third thing, probably, and the last thing, is to make sure that we identify ourselves with more positive words, such as, not necessarily have to be survivor or words that make sense to you. Like in my particular scenario, I would say, I am courageous, I am strong, stuff like that. You could say stuff like that to yourself. In your particular situation, you will apply something that will apply to a circumstance. Well, most of you guys, I know you guys are, you know, have overcome so much, and that you are brave and courageous and smart and kind and all of that, you know, and be able to set that things to ourselves, because the more we know that we're not those words, but we are a more positive words, you know, we set more positive words to ourselves, that becomes part of our natural way to see in ourselves. It comes to be natural part of our dialogue, our words, our thoughts, our feelings. And we become more whole. It becomes, we start renewing ourselves and refreshing, and it becomes natural to us to pronounce the words, not only to ourselves, but most importantly to all the other people that are around us. Because not necessarily we do contribute by abstaining to insult somebody, but also by, you know, complimenting someone or telling that person, lifting their spirits by telling them, you're kind, you're courageous, you're brave. We are doing what? We're building their self-esteem and their self-confidence. So that's one way we can also utilize words to encourage, inspire, bring passion, love, peace into the life of others, especially on the new generation that so desperately need encouragement from adults. Okay, so let's do that with each other. Let's not put each other down. Let's try to lift each other up. The more, the better. And let's try to continue to build our self-esteem and self-confidence by making sure that if we don't have nothing nice to say, we don't say it. For some reason, somebody said that, right? If we don't have nothing nice to say, don't say it. So I guess there was a reason behind that. So that's all I have for today. I hope this video helped you in some way, some shape or form. Please send me your comments, your messages, and I send you my love. Have a wonderful day. God bless you. Bye-bye.